Hey, this is Chris Crawford, Chris Crawford Knives. Someone had asked me a question about how I made my safety for my lever action auto, so thought I'd throw this little video together just to kind of show what I'm doing here. So this safety right here, this is the safety out of an old um, cheap plastic stiletto. And basically there's your button just up on top. It's just a thin piece that would slide between uh, on a little track, and then that wedge would go up under your lever or your button so that it would prevent it from pressing down. So that's basically what I did, and I'll talk about how I made this one in a minute. But here's mine. You can see it's a good bit smaller. And so there's the button up on top, or the little, I guess the little button, I guess you could call it, the little slider thing. You see I got this wedge at the front, and then there's a little cutaway at the back, just like on this one, kind of. And there's a purpose for that. Now, here's my handle. Now one difference is on the stiletto, on the plastic one, there was a track that was in the top part of it, and it was molded. You know, it was injection molded plastic, so I couldn't do that. So it took me a while to figure out how I was going to do this, and then it just kind of popped into my head that my spring, my lever spring, that gives me my return there, that if I split that, it would act as a track, and so that's what I did. I cut it with a Dremel tool, and this right here, this piece, this thin piece right here is liner material. So it's 40 thousandths. So it's the same thing, you know, as that. That's what I cut it out of. So I made my slot so that it would just fit in it. So try to get my fingers out of the way, but okay. So it fits in it like that. It slides under the lever to wedge it. And then that little cutaway that you see in there, the back, that's so that it can slide up over, well, over where the cutout stops right there. Now, what holds this in is that I don't have my actual handle, but here's an example. The slot in my handle is shorter than the length of the safety. So when I go to put this together, what I've got to do is I've got to put the safety in like this, slide it forward, and then slide it back. And then I can put my, I can put my handle on. Like I said, it doesn't fit this knife, um, but it's in there like that so that it can slide back and forth. And so once it's in place, because the length of the safety is longer than the hole, it's not going to fall out. Okay. So let me get that back out. All right. So how did I go about making this? Well, the first thing I did was I made, the metal, this metal piece, not the button part, but the rest of it. And so it's just tapered on one end. It goes up right here, and then it's got this little tab that goes up, that goes into the little button there. Keep calling it a button. I guess not like a push button, but slider button. So that was basically just grinding on my disc grinder. I'd grind a little, I'd test it, I'd grind a little and test it. Had to get the height right because when I put it in my handle, I don't want it so thick that it's going to be raising my handle up. So it's just a little trial and error, trial and error, trial and error. Now the what was more involved was creating this little button right there for it. And here's how I did that. So I took some 0.020 stainless. So like I said, this part right here is 0.040, so it's liner material. And I'd ordered some 0.60, 0.06 for cutting out inlays. And they sent me 0.02 by mistake, but they just said, keep it, we'll send you the other. So that 0.02 works pretty good. So anyway, so the first thing I do, and so let me just show you, here's an example of one. Okay, I don't want to drop it. I've dropped a couple under the bench that I'll probably never find again. So you can see it's cupped. It's hollow in the bottom part there. Okay. All right. So that's it. Now, how I made that was basically, let's move my camera here. This is a punch set from Harbor Freight, and I think this is a 1/4 inch punch. So I just slid my material in there. You know, this is I ain't gonna do it through this, but just to give you an example. Slid it in there, 1/4 inch, put my punch in there, whack, punch it out, and I got a little disc, okay? So now if you measure this, you can see, if I can get it on there, get my fingers out of the way. It's the 1/4 inch is a lot bigger, but that's because it's domed, and when it's domed, when you dome it, it draws up. So anyway, all right, so that's that, doming it. Get over here, show you my doming set. This is just a doming set that I got from Harbor Freight, and so I use this little number 3. And these doming blocks has all kinds of little places, and so, you know, I'll just move this out of the way. I'll just do it up here. So, you know, I put my disc in one of these, probably put it in one of the larger ones. Probably put it in this one first, and then, you know, just put this on top of it, hit it with a hammer until it started doming. Then I moved it over into that one and hit it with a hammer, then probably moved it over into this last one, and then just kept doing it, you know, until it came out domed like that. All right. The last thing I did was attaching it to the metal piece, and this is what was most difficult, because you can see in here that's solid. It was solid because it's solder, and I don't really have any good tips. Get in focus. I don't really have any good tips on that, other than just to say I put this down on a wooden block. I was looking to see if I saw it over there. I just put it on a wooden block, or no, maybe I did it on a piece of aluminum or something. I don't remember, but I put it down. I put just a little bit of solder in there, and then put a little flux on there, and then I held this piece in a vice grips, and of course it didn't have this on there, and then heated it up, you know, with my torch, and then got that over it and just tried to hold it still and straight until it hardened. And the problem is, it's get in focus there. Come on. The problem is it's sometimes difficult to get it straight. So you want it straight both this way and you want it straight that way. So like when you look at it like this, well, there it goes. When you look at it like this, you don't want it going off to one side, which it does there just a little bit. Man, I'm sorry about this darn autofocus. All right, anyway. And then also, when you look at it this way, you don't want it going off one way or the other. So I would usually have to heat it up and reheat it a couple times until I got it the right direction. But that's it. That's how I made the safety for my lever action auto.